And what he is saying is, hey, Republicans, forget your constituents, forget your constitutional responsibilities. If you don't do what I, Elon Musk, want you to do, you're out of office. And I have the money to do just that.
Senator Bernie Sanders spoke directly to the American people to explain the power and the grip that Elon Musk has on the Republican Party and how dangerous this is to our country. We're going to take a look at clips of what Bernie Sanders had to say. I'm going to share my thoughts on this as well. Let's check this out together.
Hello, everybody. As I am sure you have heard, there is a lot that's going on here in Washington, D.C. So let me say a few words and try to explain it. Bottom line, after all is said and done, is that after months of negotiations, Senate Democrats and House Republicans reached an agreement called a continuing resolution, which would continue to fund the government for 3 months. Frankly, that agreement was not something that I was all that excited about, but it was better than nothing. And I was prepared and am prepared to vote for it. And one of the reasons is that it contained a reasonable increase in funding for primary health care, something that I feel very strongly about and that my committee, the Health, Education, Labor, and Pension Committee, is responsible for. And given the enormous crises that we're facing in health care in this country today, it really would be of help to many millions of Americans. What this legislation would do is significantly, or modestly at least, increase funding for community health centers all over this country, which treat about 30 million Americans who are low income or working class. And it would also increase the number of young doctors who go out into rural America and also into underserved areas. That is where we need the doctors and the nurses, and that's what this legislation would do. In any case, within the House of Representatives, the Republican House, and the Democratic Senate, there was widespread agreement on this resolution. And it was just about ready to be passed. In fact, the Republicans posted it on their website. We were ready to go. But then, out of nowhere, the wealthiest man in the world, Elon Musk, began tweeting his opposition to this legislation. In fact, he was very blunt about it. He told Republicans that if they voted for this proposal, which they had already agreed to do, he would take out his wallet and spend as much money as it took to defeat them in primaries and drive them out of office.
Now think about how scary this is, what Bernie is saying here. You know, we already had Donald Trump, not even in office. Donald Trump over the last year, in which the Republicans were ready to vote for a border bill, and Donald Trump, not even in office, tells them, no, don't do that because we don't want there to be a victory that Joe Biden can claim. That was before Kamala Harris was the nominee. We don't want there to be a victory that Joe Biden can claim. And if we pass this bill, even though we're saying the border is the most important thing in the world and all the illegal immigrants are coming to get you, we want to hold this off for a few months so that Donald Trump can get reelected. And of course, we all know what happened. He got reelected. That was insane enough. Now we have Donald Trump, or now we have Elon Musk, as Bernie says, the richest man in the world, has more money than some countries. And now he has this type of power over an entire political party to get them to vote against a continuing resolution because he doesn't like it for whatever reason. And now we have all of this where people are making fun, I think rightfully so, that Elon Musk is the president and Donald Trump is the vice president, or even I've seen the first lady for Donald Trump. But, you know, we've had money in politics for a long time. We've had money corrupting politics and politicians. But I don't think we've ever seen anything like this before, where we have one incredibly rich person, you know, somebody with many, many times the money of Donald Trump and a lot of these other people who give money to both parties. And now we have this guy calling the shots and Republicans listening to him. One entire party almost listening to this one man. Think about how scary that is. And where does this go?
You got that? Take a deep breath and appreciate what's going on here. The wealthiest person in the world, who spent at least $277 million to elect Donald Trump in a Republican Congress, has now claimed complete ownership of that party. And what he is saying is, hey, Republicans, forget your constituents, forget your constitutional responsibilities. If you don't do what I, Elon Musk, want you to do, you're out of office. And I have the money to do just that. My friends, what we are looking at here has nothing to do with democracy. What we are looking at here is oligarchy. This is up and up. Government by the billionaire class for the billionaire class. And by the way, Musk is not only trying to intimidate Republicans, he is trying to inject himself into the Democratic Party as well. He is threatening to target Democrats who are standing up to him and his agenda. Further, and very dangerously, and this is the guy you know who owns Twitter, as part of his campaign to defeat this resolution, Musk has been spreading an enormous amount of disinformation and outright lies about what is in the bill. He said that the measure would include a 40% pay raise for Congress. That's a lie. It is a 3.9% increase, the same as federal employees are receiving. He said that this legislation would fund bioweapons labs. Not true. In fact, it provides funds to protect Americans from emerging infectious diseases. He said that the country would be just fine if the government shut down. Really? Here's what happens if Mr. Musk gets his way and the deal implodes. Funding for kids' cancer research gets cut. At a time when we are already paying the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs, pharmaceutical middlemen will be able to continue to overcharge you for your prescriptions. Americans recovering from devastating floods, fires, and hurricanes, often due to climate change, won't get the help that they need. That's what happens if the proposal goes down. And what happens if the government shuts down? Well, our troops won't get their paychecks. Nearly 7 million women and children who rely on WIC nutrition assistance could go hungry. And 2 million federal government workers, some of whom don't make a whole lot of money, won't be getting paid. Now let us be very clear. Elon Musk was not elected to be president of the United States. In fact, he was not elected to be dog catcher. And by the way, what all of this hoopla is really about, above and beyond everything I'm talking about, is that when Trump and Musk come into power in late January, do you know what their first order of business will be? You think it'll be to fix healthcare? You think it'll be deal with climate change? Deal with homelessness? Well, if you thought that, you're dead wrong. Their first order of business will be to provide massive tax breaks for the wealthiest people in this country and the largest corporations. So think about it. At a time of unprecedented income and wealth inequality, when Musk himself is worth almost $500 billion, what these guys want to do is give more tax breaks to billionaires and the heads of large corporations.
And like Bernie says, it's an oligarchy. If we aren't already in an oligarchy, we're heading there very quickly. And the Republicans, for years, decades now, have talked about George Soros controlling the Democrats and the left. He's a billionaire and he's giving all this money to the left, the Republicans claim. Why do we not see any proposals that people on the left and even just the mainstream base of the Democratic Party want? Medicare for all, increase Social Security, raise taxes on the rich. We don't see any of those things. But during Donald Trump's first term, we had massive tax cuts for the rich and corporations. And like Bernie Sanders is saying, we're going to see more of that during this second term. And we're going to see it on steroids with Elon Musk in charge. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy keep talking about unelected bureaucrats, when the two of them are unelected bureaucrats. They weren't elected for anything, as Bernie Sanders says here. But they are controlling policy now for the Republican Party. The Republican Party are going along with this, and some of them gleefully, they're saying, oh, we can't wait to work with Doge and Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy so we can cut all these things in the government. Are there parts of the government that could be cut, should be cut? Yeah, I feel like 900 military bases around the world. We could maybe get rid of a few of those. They're not going to cut things like that. They're not going to cut wasteful spending that goes to contractors. Now, they might take over those contracts themselves. I think that's a very likely thing to happen with Elon Musk in charge. He'll take over some military contracts, but they're not going to cut military spending. They're going to cut things that benefit normal people like you and me. They're going to go after Medicare and Social Security and Medicaid and funding for schools and, things like school lunches that in the grand scheme of things are not very much money at all. But these are the things they're going to try to go after. Vivek Ramaswamy has publicly talked about pensions for government workers, how much of a burden that is. If you're a government worker, how do you feel about that? Vivek Ramaswamy has talked about in a time when people are upset about health insurance companies denying claims, he's saying they pay too much out, that too much money is being paid out to people with insurance policies. The money should just be for basically catastrophic events. So they're not going to do anything that's going to benefit you or I. It's going to benefit billionaires and other people just like them. So Bernie Sanders is right to raise the alarm. I know some people, even if they agree with Bernie, are critical of Bernie because, he's got to work within the system that we have. He can't just go in and single-handedly change all of this. But at least he's openly talking about these things when people like Nancy Pelosi at the head of the Democratic Party are really fighting against anything progressive happening. They don't want Medicare for all. Bernie Sanders talks about Medicare for all. But Bernie can't do it on his own. We need other people, other progressives like Bernie in Congress to fight against this oligarchy. How we get there, I don't know. I mean, it's a pretty scary time. Let me know what you think about this. Do you feel like things are just going to get worse and worse with Elon Musk in there and the massive amount of money that he has? Let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know about Bernie, what he's saying here. This is Chris on Culture. I will see you in the next video.